In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to accurately bore the hole down the centre of a lamp stem, the process of long hole boring. You'll need the CWA 131 long hole boring kit. This consists of the counterbore tool with its 5/16 pilot which fits into the headstock, a hollow centre which fits into the tailstock along with the pointed centering rod. This slides all the way through the tailstock barrel and the hollow centre. The 5/16 auger is normally supplied without a handle, so you have to make and fit your own. Start by mounting the lamp blank between the standard centres in the conventional way, but do make sure that headstock centre is driven well into the end for a really positive grip, because you can't apply lots of pressure with a hollow centre later. Rough down to the cylinder using a 3/4 inch roughing out gouge, always working off either end of the blank. I use my finger as a guide with a long tool rest to produce a nice even cylinder. I always do the boring at this stage before I actually turn the profile to make sure everything always ends up truly concentric. So remove the cylinder, then use the blunt end of the centering rod to knock out the revolving centre. Turn the rod round, slide the hollow centre over the rod, locate your blank back on the 4-prong drive centre, bring the tailstock up, push the rod through the centre into the hole left by the revolving centre, then wind in the tailstock barrel, making sure it bites really well into the end. Just spin it by hand a few times, it really helps this process. When it's fully tight, just back off the pressure fraction and tighten up the tailstock barrel and remove the rod. It's always a good idea to drop the lathe speed down a bit to its slowest to avoid overheating the hollow centre, because this doesn't spin with the timber. Start the lathe and feed the auger through the tailstock and the hollow centre. You need just a bit of pressure to get it started. Push it in about 3/4 inch, then withdraw the auger and just shake off the swarf. This is really important. Don't try and drill any further than about 3/4 inch, or the swarf will build up in the auger and push it offline. Keep going a little bit at a time and keep clearing the auger as you go. Take your time, there's no hurry. If at any stage the centre does start getting hot, put a little bit of wax on it. Keep going until you've drilled about halfway down. It's not critical. Now you need to reverse the work. So move the tailstock back out of the way. Remove the standard 4-prong drive centre and replace it with the counterbore tool. Remember, this has the 5/16 pilot, which should be a nice sliding fit in the hole you've already bored. Just give it a few taps with a soft face mallet to make sure it's seated securely. Fit this back in the headstock. Slide the rod back through the tailstock to line up the hollow centre with the end. Wind in the tailstock barrel as we did before. Back off the tension of friction, tighten up the barrel. You're now ready to bore from the other end. Exactly the same as before. Feed maximum 3/4 inch at a time and keep clearing the swarf. Will take some time, just be patient. And just occasionally feed the auger in and don't make a cut. This just has the effect of removing any loose swarf that's building up in the hole. Eventually you will break through and the two holes from either end should line up perfectly in the middle. After you have broken through, just run the auger up and down a few times, but be careful not to push it so far in you catch the counterbore tool. Stop the lathe, remove the blank. You can now see it's bored perfectly all the way through, ready for the electric flex. Continue turning by removing the hollow centre and replace it with your standard revolving centre. Refit the blank on the counterbore tool, bring up your turn centre, tighten up. You're now ready to turn the finished profile. You can see now it's running a slight bit out of true, which is why I always bore before I turn the profile. Doing it this way, it's got to be concentric. Once you've finished shaping the profile, there's a really good tip here to help you fit the lamp holder plate. Just take the tool rest out of the way, take the tension off the drive wings of the counterbore tool by slacking off the tailstock and pulling the blank backwards. Then hold it tight, start up the lathe and then wind the blank back onto the spinning counterbore tool. This will bore in 2 or 3 millimeters and produce a hole that matches exactly the diameter of your lamp holder plate. Don't drill too deep. As I say, 2 or 3 millimeters is plenty. You can see the plate sits in really neatly.